Sure enough, the MAG are already trying to claim.
Woo-wee! 18 seconds in. All right, folks, we are back. Let's get it started. What is going on, cannabis community? Welcome back to the smoke stream. It has been a while. Got my boy BG over here. What is up, BG? How's everything going, bro?
Man, it's hump day, baby. We back with the diversification here on the off season. You know what I mean? We're going to talk a little green cabbage, little cannabis, little smoke stream action on hump day, baby.
It looks like this isn't going directly to BDG. So if we have a way of sharing that, let's get that done. It just happened. It just popped up right now. It says the stream is deleted on Facebook. So I don't know. I feel like it's still there. I think it's just a weird thing that's going on. But
I'll check it out. Go ahead.
Regardless, it's been a while. BG, dang. I just looked and it's been many months, but we managed to cover 10 episodes last season, and we covered a whole bunch of stuff. And it's pretty easy. I think it was real easy for us to figure out what we wanted to do this on. We've had a lot of things transpire in the cannabis community over the, since the time that we've done the last show. So we got a lot of stuff to cover and not a lot of time to talk about it. But right now, BG, you got a particular strain you're enjoying right now?
Man, I've been on this Freddy's Fuego. It's a actual brand that's up here, sativa, but I'm on this Lion King. I'm on some Lion King now. I don't know if you've ever, and I can't really see. Boy, my eyes is getting bad. I might have to give me some glasses, man. Let me turn on. My light here where I can see my some sour diesel and animal cookies.
Oh shit. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I can.
Hey, what about you? What you puffing on?
I'm smoking some GMO Skittles. One of my favorite strains. A lot of people think, and I'm hoping I can get this across right now. A lot of folks think that the GMO portion of that strain is genetically modified, whatever, but it is not. It actually stands for garlic, mushrooms, and onions.
I didn't know that.
It's got a very food-forward flavor, and there's a couple strains out there like lavender that kind of had that. I said it years ago. I was like, this tastes like something you could eat or eat with, and I think now people are starting to grow some strains that are kind of like that, which is crazy. But I'm enjoying some GMO Skittles, man. Folks at Good Chemistry are always making some killer shit. So, but you know what? Go ahead.
I just checked BDG. I don't see it. It's not active on there. So I don't know if you could just delete it and maybe try to add it on there again. It should allow to pop live and then it'll just go current if you don't see it on your end. But that's the status on that. But yeah, welcome everybody on YouTube. We're live on my YouTube channel. We're live on LinkedIn, live on Bob's LinkedIn or Bob's YouTube. We're supposed to be live on Built Different Groups, so multiple platforms here. So if you're joining us, it's the Hump Day Smoke Stream. We're going to get it together. Work with us here. We're going to have some special guests. We're going to talk about some cannabis. I'll be advocating for veterans, which there's some veteran news that we'd like to share here during the show today. And we'll also have some special guests. Bob will be talking about strain spotlights. Bob will be, driving the show like he is today. So it's nice for me on my end just to be a guest. But we're happy that you're here to join us on each hump day here. We're going to have 11 shows, which is going to carry us through the summer. So every hump day, we plan to have a guest. We plan to bring you some fresh organic cannabis content. So if you live a cannabis lifestyle, if you just want to learn, which this is a great podcast where you'll be able to learn because we've got some great information, especially from the veteran standpoint, that I'd like to share with everybody today. So welcome everybody to the show.
No doubt. And it's been a while since I've grown. The last strain I have that's still curing actually is Grizzly Purple Kush. And I think I pulled that about 4 months ago. I haven't had the bug to grow has not hit me. I'm getting discouraged because I can't grow dispensary quality cannabis because I can't pheno hunt. It's starting to piss me off. As someone who's been growing for a long time, dude, it's something I should be used to, but it's hard. It's because I know I can go to where I get my cannabis and get great shit, and not being able to grow it because I don't have specific clones or strains is a pain in the ass. But I'll get in there eventually. It's just a matter of money. But anyway, let's jump into the show today. This is the cannabis crash. And I'm not sure if anybody knows about this. If you're not in Denver, you probably don't even care about it. But Denver at one point had a lot of dispensaries, had a booming cannabis economy. And that has really gone downhill over the last 2 years, I would say. But you know what? If I'm not going to be the one to talk about it, I view the cannabis industry from another side of it. While it might not be inside, it's definitely insider information. But we've actually got an insider in here right now, so we might as well bring him in because there's no reason to keep him in the green room. He's just going to keep smoking my weed. So let's bring him in, ladies and gentlemen, brother Riles. That was a short applause. Damn. I thought I had a
what the fuck? That
there.
Sucked.
That was great.
Welcome back, Riles. Good to see you, baby. You're like in the same spot you were when we seen you last time.
That's a better
dude. You made me spit my drink out when you said genetically modified.
Believe me, man.
People really thought that GMO stood for, though. I'm like, I didn't know it was garlic and whatever else he said.
Mushroom and onion.
Yeah. Listen, because that particular acronym never applied to anything other than genetically modified organism or whatever that O stands for. Right, I'm guessing it's organism. Right. So it's just like calling a strain WMD. You're going to go directly to weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, that's exactly what you're going to go to. So what's up, Bill? Dude, good to see you, dude. It's been a while, even though we live very close. The industry is really, really crazy, dude. How long have you been in this industry right now?
2015.
Okay, shit.
I mean, when did I move here?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, it must have been just a year after you got here. So that puts 2012, 2013, because you were here before we got married, right? Or after?
No, after you got married.
That's a good decade, though. At least that's 10 years.
Yeah, it's over 10 years.
Yeah, no doubt it does do that. But yeah, so anyway, you've been here. Let's see, it's 10. We'll say 10 or 11 years inside the industry. Mm-hmm. So you've seen it obviously go from a massive boom because you got in right when you were supposed to kind of get in, or maybe a few years earlier. But by the time you got in there, things had kind of been put in place. There have been better systems as opposed to Abacus and anything else that we're using at the beginning of it all. But what did you get what you want out of the industry and being in any of the positions you've been in?
What do you mean by did I get what I want?
Because most people, I know there's a million different motivations for having the job, but folks like you and I who grew up smoking weed and enjoying it, maybe we had a specific motivation for wanting to get into this business. And I'm just wondering if you did have that and if it was satisfied at any time, or if it just turned into what it normally does, which is a business for.
Well, I mean, everybody. You knew what I was doing before. I was running golf courses. And like I always say, people walked into golf courses, members felt like shit. They were treated like shit. And then they left and they fucking hated their life too. So they walked in pissed. They left pissed. And it took a toll on me. And I'm like, I need to get out of this industry. It was just wearing me out. And shit, cannabis. People are walking in happy. Guess what they're doing? They're leaving happy. So the stress, the 100% of the stress is gone. When it comes to dealing with customers and, board of directors and members, it's like, that's gone. Blood pressure meds at 35.
There's a lot of politics, like, oh, we got to make so many sales, we got to move so much product. Like, talk about that pressure, I guess, internally that you're talking about people are experiencing.
Well, in cannabis?
Yeah, in the cannabis industry.
In business in general, if you don't sell, you're not going to stay open. So that's just a given. So, I mean, a specific question, shit, I came in at the perfect time. I was here at the peak, which is COVID, pre-COVID, COVID, year after COVID, when everybody was sitting home and had tons of money. And we were one of those businesses that the government said, oh, we're staying open. Liquor stores, cannabis, and, grocery stores. So at my old dispensary, Diego Pellicer, which I was there for, was probably my favorite job in the industry, to be honest with you. For 3 years, we were doing $1.5 million a month.
And that's a ridiculous number. Yeah. And is that what you said that was that business run by investors, or was that a private ownership?
No, that was a private owner. He basically leased the name. We had one dispensary in Washington. They closed that. The one here in Denver was we just crushed. I mean, corner of Federal and Alameda. We saw 50,000 cars pass by there every single day. As you know, bro, the fucking dispensary was gorgeous. I mean, it was just an awesome setup. We had awesome people. It was just a great time. I mean, so yeah, I reminisce about the great times in cannabis because right now it's awful. It's just awful.
And
what's one of the biggest things? Like, what's one of the most awful things you've seen on the way out of the cannabis industry?
Well, I'm not out of it yet. Granted, I'm not employed now, but I'm not out of it. I'm still looking to stay in it.
Okay.
You still have a license that hasn't expired too, so you got to work through that.
Yeah, well, that's simple.
Yeah.
God, we could sit here all night and talk about this, but
Well,
I think
the first thing that comes to mind, the worst thing.
The worst thing is the race to the bottom when it comes to pricing. But there's factors causing companies to race to the bottom. You know, everybody started buying grows, building out dispensaries after COVID, thinking that this was going to last forever. It used to cost $700 a pound to grow, and you're selling it for $1,500 wholesale, and you're retailing it after, say, $40 an eighth. I mean, you're making 9x on that pound you're growing. Now you're growing it for $700 a pound, and you can't sell it for $700 a pound.
Wow.
Wholesale. So that's what's causing the grows to go under. Therefore, the retail is going under because everybody's like, "Oh, I need to keep the doors open. Let's just try to get our money back to see how long this is going to last." And yeah, I mean, look, we lost 50% of our retail dispensaries and grows in the last 5 years.
So
that's a lot.
Is it just the influx of it's been saturated with grows and dispensaries now? Is why has it come down? Those margins have come down so far?
It's a number of reasons. Number one, all the tourism's gone. All the states around us have gone rec. There's no reason to come into Colorado anymore. All the other states are like, people would come into Colorado and they'd spend a week, get high, go home, and bring their shit with them and sell.
Like going to Vegas, huh? Go
right,
to Colorado.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's absolutely no reason to do that now. And I'm glad you mentioned Vegas. Vegas has saw a 50% decrease in which was their number one moneymaker in sports books. Why is that? Your sports book's on your phone now. Why the fuck would you go to Vegas anymore? If you were a sports gambler, why would you go when all the other states have gone legal? You have all these online sports books, and there's no reason to do that. So it's kind of the situation what's going on in cannabis right now. Colorado overtaxes. We have a 280E issue. We are not able to deduct expenses like normal businesses can. So that cuts
insane.
That cuts your profit margin. First of all, if you're hoping to make a 30% profit margin, that's 30% on taxes that you have to pay. Normally, you wouldn't have to do that. So now you're down to 20% margin. Back 5-6 years ago, you could get away with it because everybody was making money. Now you can't.
So you can't recoup money on packaging.
Zero.
Any of that, really?
Zero.
That seems like a recipe for failure right off the bat.
No, it absolutely is. But that's more of a government, like White House situation.
Yeah.
And we can go into Schedule 3 after this, but that's huge. We don't have good banking access. We have 2 really good cannabis banks in Colorado. They know they're the only 2 that will take the risk. Therefore, they charge you a lot of money to have accounts. You can't get any lending. There's zero investment. Try getting insurance for cannabis. And if you do, it's so much money to get.
So you're essentially driving like boatloads of cash every day at the end of the day from the dispensary to the bank to drop it off?
Right. Or what they would do, you get a courier.
Right?
Or you get a courier.
You get an armed courier, which you're paying somebody else to do that shit.
An armed courier will
too.
come pick it up and take it down. Yeah.
Okay, armed courier. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I know there's been reports of vans getting robbed with lots of money, and hey, because there's no safe banking act. What you're talking about?
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, because if there was safe banking, we could go down the street and put our money in the bank at First Bank, at Chase, or whatever down the
block.
block.
Or you just put it on a deposit slip. You don't have to worry about bringing a bunch of cash. Yeah, And I think that's when we're about to definitely talk about Schedule 3 there. I think that's what a lot of folks thought was going to happen once the rescheduling popped, and at least they thought there was was going to be a snowball effect to that. I've heard a lot of positive and negative about this. The negatives I've heard is that a lot of people fear that it just positions people, big companies, to be able to put themselves in a position to monopolize the cannabis market and take over all these small farms. Big pharma coming in, which it's been the umbrella. It's been looming since this whole thing started. But what do you think? What actually, in your knowledge, did the reclassification do?
Okay, all the rescheduling did was reschedule medical marijuana. It did not reschedule recreational. Okay,
that's what they could do the research, right?
Yeah. So those people will have access to banking eventually, medical. But you're right. I do believe that. Look, I don't want to get into the politics of the situation right now, but when Trump does,
it's hard not to, man.
When Trump does anything, it's to make sure that his friends or people make money. So, do you think he's doing it out of the goodness of a heart because he wants the veterans and the people who really need it to get their medical cannabis? No. Right. Eventually, first of all, who owns the patent on synthetic cannabinoids? The United States government.
Right.
Okay. So yes, the pharmaceutical companies will be able to do whatever they want with it, even like the Walmarts and Pfizer, they'll all be able to get their hands into the medical marijuana situation. Now, June 29th is the big date here. June 29th is I think it's Congress or the Senator that's going to discuss whether Schedule 3 gets in the rec industry. Now, if they do that for rec as well, that's a totally different situation. I think that's great for all of us. I just don't know if that's going to happen because I just don't know if they're ready to do that yet. As much as we want to say, the stigma of cannabis is gone. Okay, we can say it's medical because it's for the cancer patients and the sick people.
Right.
When they think of rec, they think of a bunch of high people who have no medical issues, want to go get high, get in a car and drive. And get and kill somebody.
Well, it's interesting you say that because for the medical industry now with that Schedule 3, there's like 40 states right now current. I believe I shared that link with Bob. It's got that map on there with states that are currently registered for medical cannabis. And so I guess by rescheduling this, essentially those 40 states are sounding like they're going to benefit the most as a result of this change, correct?
They will.
Also us veterans get to benefit from it too, because now we're safe to be able to go into the VA to talk to the VA doctors about this process and about, we can't get scripts just yet, but I think that's a big part of that too. So veterans,
absolutely. And what will possibly happen is June 29th, when they decide, okay, we're not going to include rec in this, which is going to really just makes no sense to me, because you can purchase medical marijuana, which is same as recreational marijuana, but you'll get in trouble for it if it's not medical in some states.
Right.
So how do you differentiate that? Granted, yes, BG, you're right. The veterans, the sick people, they need to have access. They need to be able to go to their doctors and say, hey, I need this. And the doctors not go, I'm not touching this. That's a huge part of it. I just don't know if they're ready to give the rec community that same,
Right. It's kind of like just let the floodgates open. Everybody gets a run on it. Then.
Right, because then it's going to affect. First of all, if you don't know right now, alcohol sales are down 35%. Why is that? I'll give you two reasons. Number one, cannabis. Number two, GLP-1s. Okay, so GLP-1s do kill your desire to drink as well. So the alcohol companies are going crazy right now. They do not want to see cannabis get legal on the rec side. They'll deal with the medical side. In fact, a lot of these companies started putting out hemp-derived THC beverages. Coors and all these other companies are starting to really dabble in that.
Yeah, that's a trend that I'm seeing. It seems like everybody, because now when I just recently went to Vegas and there's consumption lounges there with the THC drinks, and that seems to be like the next trend is to produce these drinks. Because not everybody wants to go buy flour or, buy a pen or whatever. They want something.
Right. No, absolutely. Let's not get started on consumption lounges.
Oh, my God. I know, man.
Did I strike a nerve?
Well, no. I mean, it's just Colorado, California, Washington were the blueprint when it comes to opening up cannabis to the United States. So all these other states were like, okay, let's just do what Colorado, let's do what Washington, let's do what California did. No, let's not even put California in there because they're taxing people back to the black market. It's insane. So what they did is they take the infrastructure of how to build a business, and they took it to like New York, Florida, Chicago, all these places. But you know what they did better than we did? They decided to do things a little differently. Hey, let's do this. Let's allow consumption lounges. Let's allow you to have 2 ounces instead of just 1. Like, they're growing. They're not just sticking to that, this is the way it's going to be. No, they're going to go, you know what? This isn't working. Taxes are a little too high in Colorado. That's kind of going to kill, but let's make it 18% instead of 26%. Like, they're doing it the right way. Colorado is not. They refuse to do that. Like, the same rules that we have in 2010 are the same rules we have now.
As I tell you what, as a home grower, that is the biggest gripe that I have. And I talk to my medical doctor every year when I get my license again about, what can be done about that. And it seems like they're just like, this is the way it is. And if any changes that are going to be made, I think are going to take away. I don't think they're going to help the industry anymore. I think the fear in the beginning was that people were going to grow more than they wanted to go buy. But let me tell you, we know that that's bullshit, because I've been growing a long time and grow really good bud. And it's nowhere near dispensary bud because I can't pheno hunt. So
no, but
it doesn't do anything.
Also, as well, what Colorado's screwing up on is when it comes to like overtaxing. Like, look, it's $5,000 to $6,000 a year just to keep your license for medical and for rec.
That's what I want to ask you.
You need to pay $6,000 for retail. You need to pay $6,000 for retail wholesale. I mean, like, they're overtaxing the shit out of it. So what's happening now is like, you're not getting good cannabis anymore. Like, first of all, everybody's microwaving their weed. They're deconning it. They're putting it through a microwave because the MED is over-regulating when it comes to, aspergillus and heavy metals. Look, there's more shit in your fruit that you're buying than there is in the cannabis. Now, there's some things I think we need to consider to do. We need to keep doing. But now they're charging you $200 to get it tested. So there's $200 on top of the price that you're paying to grow it. Okay? And if you fail that test, you need to retest it again. So if you retest it again, that's $400. So it's costing you $700 or $800 if you're lucky to grow it. Another $400 is $1,200. Who are you going to sell a wholesale pound for $1,200 for out here now? You're not going to do it. So they're pushing everybody to the black market. So you know what people are doing now? They're going to their buddies who know how to grow indoors, grow in their house, and they're buying it from them. They don't give a shit about if it's got fucking powdery mildew.
It's always cool to know a guy. But I
want
to ask you a question, Bill.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. With that Schedule 3 change and favoring the 40 or so states that are, legal under the medical cannabis program, is it going to be a run now? Because I've seen some dispensaries, we're not medical affiliated. Is that now an incentive for rec dispensaries to go and get into the medical cannabis game now? Yeah.
Well, first of all, Colorado is medical as well. But the medical licenses they're basically dead. Nobody buys med anymore. And the reason why is a lot of those med people, granted, there are people that really need it that are sick. There was something called extended plant counts, EPCs, which meant they can go into your store, into a medical store, and buy up to 5 ounces of anything they wanted to per day.
Every fucking day.
So what do you think those people were doing? They were coming over into our state. They were buying 5 ounces every day. They'll stay here for a week, and they'll go over to their other state, take it over, across state lines, and then they sell it.
Wow.
So the MED was like, we're not doing EPCs anymore unless you are like end of life situations. This is all you're going to get. So you're going to get your maybe 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces. Actually, don't know anymore because it changes constantly. So there goes the med.
Still just one.
Yeah. So there goes the med market right there. So who the hell needs a med? Like, if you used to come to my store and you were a medical patient, I would give you 20% off. Before, you would get, as Bob, you'd go on one side was med, the other side was rec, and you'd have two totally separate pricing and strains. Now the MED is allowing you, as you're growing, to actually switch from a rec plant to a med plant before you ship it out. Before you wouldn't be able to do it. So they gave us a little bit of leeway with that. But to answer your question, if if June 29th comes where they're saying we're only going to Schedule 3 medical, I think maybe there'll be more med licenses popping up now, along with the retail licenses in the same store. Basically, like if you have a rec license, they will allow you to get a med license as well. It's going to cost you $5,000, $6,000. Shit, they might even raise it even higher right now if they're able to make money off of it. And so you'll be able to do that. And so there might be less recreational sales, and they'll just make people go and get med cards everywhere, which would be absolutely insane. Okay, that's a business you want to get into right there.
Yeah,
you want to be one of those doctors.
Here in the state of Washington, with a medical card like I have, not only are you getting it tax free on properly marked cannabis, it's got to have that FDA thing on there or whatever, in order for them to give you the tax free on that. But you can get up to 3 ounces daily here in Washington.
Yeah, that's different here. So I'm just talking specifically Colorado. Yeah. I don't think it's going to help us too much here. But definitely those other states, it's 280E, that's what it is. It's safe banking. It's being able to write off your, expenses, which will keep a lot of these companies afloat. Now, if this happened 5 years ago, we might still have another, 150 grows and dispensaries in the state. We just don't have it anymore because nobody can afford to grow it. I used to say to be profitable in this industry, you need to be vertically integrated, which meant you need to own to grow. You need to have a MIP. You need to be able to produce your own products. So therefore you can control the margins. It's not that way anymore. Now the grows are closing. I would rather go to a wholesaler and buy a $700 pound than have to grow it for $900 or whatever it is and sell it. So it's difficult now. And the only companies that are going to survive in Colorado right now, unless there's some changes, are the ones that are coming in and buying up all the dispensaries, which is what Vireo Health is doing, which is what Verdant Capital is doing. Like Vireo came in and they bought Schwaz. They bought LiveWell. They're getting ready to buy Green Solution. Okay, because Green Solution is going under too. They're gonna have 71 dispensaries in our state. So how is that going to affect the small mom and pop businesses?
Well, yeah, and again, I think that's part of what the fear has always been that.
You got no shot. You got no shot because they're backed by hedge funds. They're backed by these big companies, and I really do believe that these big, huge companies got wind of 280E, and that's when they started buying up these distressed cannabis operations down here, knowing that they'd be able to write off losses. So what they're going to do, they came in and they bought all these dispensaries. They're going to close probably half of them. I mean, and they would be just closed storefronts, because why would you want to compete with the same company's store? I don't care if it's a Green Dragon, because Green Dragon was Schwaz, and there's a LiveWell down the block. Why would you do that? Why would you compete with each other? So they'll close those places down, and they'll kind of wait and see how it works. They'll be able to keep payroll because they have like $1 billion behind them. Jeez. $500 million behind them. So they'll be able to keep payroll, and they'll just slowly watch the small guy close.
That's always been the big fear.
Yeah.
Speaking of small guy, I got a question for you for veterans that are in one of these 40 states that have this medical program available. For those maybe looking to get employment going into the industry, what advice would you have for veterans trying to get into the cannabis industry? Is it just go in and try to start at the bud tender level? What kind of advice would you have for veterans trying to get into the cannabis industry?
Outside of Colorado, because Colorado, I would not recommend you really trying to get, unless you want $18 an hour and might not have a job in 2 weeks, but definitely start at the bud tender level. Yeah, you almost have to do it. Look, I was very experienced with cannabis, and I left an operations, I ran golf courses. I ran $1 million businesses. I started at the bottom because I needed to know how people spoke. I needed to learn as much as I possibly could, because the more you learn about the products you're selling, the smarter you're going to be. So it would have been easy for me to walk in and become a manager right away. And that's fine. I could do the numbers. I can show you P&L statements and all that bullshit. But when it comes to dealing face-to-face with customers and knowing like, hey, what's the difference between BHO and fucking live rosin? I'd be like, oh, no, that's this guy. Like, you don't want to be that guy.
For sure.
So you have to.
No jack salesmen.
Yeah. And look, in Colorado, you can't You can't pull that down here. All it takes is 2 minutes of a conversation with a bud tender. You know if he's full of shit or not. You know, it's a different story in New Jersey and Florida where nobody really knows anything. We're veterans here when it comes to cannabis.
I almost feel like it started like that, if I'm being honest. It was like that from the jump.
Right. You can get away with the THC conversation in Florida. You can't get away with it here because it used to be like, what's your highest THC? You know, and you give them the whole fucking terpene story and all the knowledge you know, and they go, yeah, that's great. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, but what's your highest THC? You just want to slap the shit out of them.
Yeah, Bob told me that number really doesn't mean anything. It's all
no.
about,
I mean, it's a small part of the equation, really, to be honest with you.
Well, people will recognize that because people that like higher, I want 40, 50, 30, 40, 50.
Well,
whatever.
they assume higher THC means higher, which is nothing to do with it.
Ooh.
Because your endocannabinoid system is really based on two things. It's based on terpene profiles and what's going to get you high. Like, I would rather know what's the terpene, what percentage of terps are in the specific flower, because I know for a fact that's what's going to get me high. Like, one of the big growers in our state, 710, is notorious for having under 20% THC, but their terp profiles are fantastic, and it's going to get you high. But everybody just assumes the higher number, the higher you're going to get. So if you see a strain, like if your favorite strain is like Blue Dream, I'm just going to throw Blue Dream out there, and you look up the terp profile in the Blue Dream percentage-wise, and you go into a shop here, and you ask them. Obviously, we don't have Blue Dream. That's one of those legacy strains.
I was just going to say that's a bad one to call.
But you can say, hey, tell me your terp profiles. Tell me what strains have these specific terps. Then you can match basically what you know is going to get you high to that specific strain. So,
and you would honestly, and I've said that on multiple shows, you would expect people to be able to educate themselves as a consumer to try and get around that, but it never stuck. It doesn't stick. That THC number is, and that's exactly, and I think it's a word of mouth thing. I think it's just people staying stupid in this particular lifetime right now.
Yeah.
But if you have that knowledge and you could figure out a way, oh, well, you know what, Barry Kush did this to me, but you know what, dude, like Jenny Kush over here is pretty much the same terpene profile. It's going to do the same damn thing. If not, it's going to be better.
That's what you have to do. Education is so massive in our industry. Like, so I'm always educating bud tenders and how this is how you speak to the customer. Even if it doesn't work, at least in the back of their head, when it eventually hits them, they're going to go, fuck, I remember that. 2 years ago, I went to that spot and they told me about this. Like, that light bulb will go off eventually, but if we stop the education, it's never going to change. Just like we're going to hopefully we get away from sativa, indica, and hybrid, because that's a crock of shit too right now, because all these phenos are basically one fucking plant now. Like, we've crossbred everything.
I have yet to see it get sort of monetarily weaponized, but I feel like that we were on the path for that. And again, like you said, it's almost 10 years ago we were talking about this, saying, you know what, that's cute and everything, but it doesn't matter because everything is hybridized at this point, which pretty much it is. I unless you know specific places like I do, or specific grows that are doing it the way that you would want them to do it, so an indica is an indica. Even now at this point, if it's staying in-house, it's the only way you can control whether that's an indica. If you're getting strains and seeds from somewhere else, you're
exactly. Or you can go into a shop and they can say, I got golden goat.
Right.
And you're going to be
they
like,
definitely
okay,
don't have golden goat, by the way.
It's not golden goat.
I've had golden goat.
They'll throw a name on it. Like everybody's looking for sativa strains now, and they're not going to find them because, number one, they're very hard to grow. They don't yield. They take longer and everybody's in a rush to, harvest and get it on the shop as quickly as possible on the shelf. That
they grow tall as shit too. Even if you super crop them, it could be a bitch.
So you
said everybody's going after sativa?
Yes, here.
Wow.
Like it's very hard to find because people want that high. That's the high that they want right now.
The new trend.
It's the wave, man. It's the way. Since it's a business, it's going to be ebbing and flowing like that in different waves, just like any other restaurant. And that's the only other business I can liken it to. As someone who's tried to get into that cannabis business, actually, I didn't get licensed until last year, but I always knocked on the door after working in it for a little bit. I've definitely likened it to restaurants. It's almost the same exact thing, man. Like, you can expect to possibly be fired for the same shit in a restaurant as you do in a dispensary. And that goes everything from you saying the wrong thing to just having to be in a budget cut meeting. And
it's
get screwed.
probably a lot easier to get cut in the cannabis industry because compliance is number one in our industry. You sell somebody something that is not labeled correctly, underage, too much, like over an ounce. Just like they're nickel and the MED will come in and they'll find you $5-10 grand. I mean, there's your business right there too. So the MED is realizing we're not making any money. We need to make sure our budget is filled next year. How do we do that? We're going to find the shit out of you. We don't care because that's going to help our budget for next year. Instead of going, you know what? We're going to put a moratorium on licenses and grows. We're going to support this industry. We just have to figure this out. They don't want to do that. They would rather just fine you out. They'd rather fine you or let you go under and then give your license to somebody else because they know they're going to get taxes for 4 or 5 months before they close down. Like that's their thought process. And that's what's wrong about what's going on here in Colorado.
And I think at the state level too, I think too many people are trying to find ways to make money without really making anything better in the industry. And that's exactly what's going on at this point. And you just described it right there too. And it's the part of the business that, to go along with the stereotype of a stoner, it does not align with that. It's very cutthroat. It's very, fuck you, we're letting you go. Even the dispensaries who operated like a bunch of stoners back in the day, they certainly didn't last very long.
I tell you what, it used to be it was the Wild Wild West. Now it's become a business. Like people who are coming into our industry in Colorado and all these places actually have bean counters, really, really smart operators. Granted, they never touched the plant before, but those are the people that are going to make sure that you're going to stay afloat.
Yeah, product, a service is a service. Business is all the same. Yeah,
I mean, I know a lot of not qualified people running companies right now from Target, from fucking PetSmart. That, I mean, they're behind the scenes. They're fine, but get them front facing a customer or dealing with your staff, and they'll be like, "Get the fuck in the back. We don't want to talk to you."
Yeah,
but that's where we're going right now.
Bob and I was cracking a joke earlier, and I was like, yeah, it's going to be funny when eventually you can get Amazon deliver you a pack to the front door. I mean, how far off do you think we are from that per se? Because I think in San Francisco or somewhere, maybe in Colorado, I think they tried Uber Weed once, and I don't think
California. California had a company. California had a company called Ease. Ease was the delivery for cannabis in California. They went under. But that's a totally different conversation why California's gone to shit, because California overtaxed everything.
Oh, I know.
Why the hell
would you expensive as hell down there?
Yeah, but why would you go to a dispensary and pay $60 plus tax for a quarter when you know your buddy who works in the who grows in the Montecito or up in the mountains can get you the fucking greatest weed you ever smoked in your life for $50 an ounce? Like they really pushed it to the black market. So California is a totally different discussion. We can talk about that in another podcast.
No, I just thought, you can get damn near anything delivered to your door. I mean, at some point we should be able to get, weed delivered to our door.
We can get weed delivered. No, we have delivery here.
We do.
Well, no one wants to do it. Our company was the first company that actually helped get a delivery system put in. Of course, it was a social equity system. We couldn't do it ourselves. They gave the licenses to social equity people. But it turned out that those people really didn't know how to run a business. They weren't very compliant. And the problem was that the MBD will put, like, if somebody bought some cannabis from us and then we gave it to a delivery person, which was the middleman, and they took it to the house and they delivered it to a 12-year-old kid, that's our fault. It wasn't the delivery people's fault. So we were like, we ain't doing it. That's why delivery died here.
Yeah. That's totally different. I didn't think about that.
Also, people, I think, still want to have the experience of going to pick out their shit and leave with it knowing that they've got it. And unless, again, I think the only way a delivery system would work is if someone like me, who goes to the same dispensary for 15 friggin' years, knows what you're going to get. Right. Then I'm totally okay with that. And I would have taken advantage of it, if I'm being honest, because I'm not that close to good chemistry. But at the same time, I see why it wouldn't work out, because it's always been a visual handling thing since black market youth, man. Mm-hmm. You got bag appeal, you've got all this stuff that you monitor and what you say is gonna be a great bud for you, the smell, the sight, all that shit. You don't get that in a delivery. It's some dude dropping it off.
unless you're sick and you're cancer, people who
Right.
can't leave their house, it's definitely it's needed for them at that point. But you're right. When it comes to us who want to really, deli to me is huge. Like I would never ever sell pre-packed weed, because first of all, it dries out in Mylars. I mean, there's some companies that's all they do is sell pre-pack, but like, no, I want to show you that big jar of cannabis. I want to show you me actually putting it into the dram. So
yeah, I feel like that's a
what you're
selective
getting.
job for you. Every place you've worked at, you've done that, I think.
Yes, I've made sure of that because I want you to know when you left, you're getting what you asked for.
That's that good old hand-to-hand customer service.
Yeah.
Listen, we grew up at the same place, and that's business. That's the way business was back in the day, man. If you were able to pick your nugs, that was good shit. That's
plus the bigger, huge glass jars, and you open that shit up. The terp smell alone hits you in the face, and you're like, "Oh shit, that's awesome." You sell somebody an eighth in a Mylar, and you get it home, and you open it up, that shit's dry as hell. You don't know how long it's been sitting in there. It's just a bad experience.
I got a question for you, Bill. Is packaged weed that doesn't come in a jar, is it sometimes frowned upon because it's not in a jar, or can you get better quality in a plastic bag over a jar?
Oof. Well, Colorado's weed's dry, period. So, but so that's how I always felt like the longer you kept it into I'm talking specifically on Mylar. If you have a jar, it lasts a little bit longer if the jar is temperature controlled, it's got a good lining, and it lasts a long time. Normally, deli is the only way to go. Like Mylars and certain jars, Aero get in there quick, it dries it out even faster. And in our climate, we can't afford that because we're dry already. California, shit. Washington, no, it does make a difference whether it's deli or in a jar. You're probably going to get some sticky.
Yeah, I just had some bad experiences in bags before, and I kind of prefer the jar type. I just had more so, but I've had some bag where I'm like, that's a pretty good weed, and it's not.
Yeah, it's hit and miss. It really is hit and miss.
It's the same way when you grow it. It's a problem.
Yeah.
That's so, and it's crazy. We got that rescheduling popping, and then all of a sudden, in the last 48 hours, I've heard a lot about the TSA saying it's totally okay now if you travel with cannabis, but it's got to be medical.
Yeah.
And if you do, and I mean, that seems to what's so crazy is that all of these medical programs are dying, and now they're saying the only way to qualify to traveling with cannabis is if you have that medical qualification.
It goes back to those 40 states and that legislation going favor in those states. It just looks like it's lining up that way a little bit. Bill.
Yeah, but if you don't, and here's another thing too, not everybody. If I went and got a medical card, there's certain things that, first of all, it's going to be on my record. People are going to know I'm a medical marijuana user. It's going to be in a government, database.
Right.
Here in Colorado, I don't even think you can own a gun anymore if you are a medical marijuana patient. Like, there's certain things that come with getting a medical marijuana card. So that's why a lot of people don't do it unless they really need to. That's why rec is so massive, where regulate us like alcohol. Let us be able to go in there. Let us be able to own a gun. Let us be able to drive a school bus, stupid shit like that. So, I mean, Colorado is different than these other states. We're still in the dark ages when it comes to really making this work, where all these other states took some shit from Colorado and made it better. We're just not doing it here.
Yeah, the money is a blinding thing. I think the money stayed okay, which is exactly why things didn't change in that manner. But again, I also think that whole gun issue is more of an issue when you start declaring that information on those documents. And if it ever comes down to it, you being in a situation where you've got a gun and some weed in your car. And I guess that, I guess those chances are pretty high. Although if you're somebody like me who grew up not knowing that's probably not the way to go, you're going to leave both of those damn things at home, or at least not have both in combination with each other.
Right.
But I felt like that was always a scare tactic from the very beginning, because I've always heard that if you have a med card, you can't have a firearm. But every single person I've spoken to in the professional level has said it's bullshit. They just want you to they want you to declare it on one of those so they can know.
Yeah, no, that's here in Washington State too. I could go right onto the base, and all I'm going to do is get a background check. And if I don't have any, charges with any mental things going on in that's not going to raise the flag, and they're going to allow you to purchase. So that was the long and short I got of it. But yeah, I've heard that too, and it's it's a little bit of stigma there.
Yeah, and who knows what the government's going to tell you eventually, when they say, okay, it's now medical is Schedule 3, and you're gonna have, and you the only way you can get cannabis is you need to have a medical card. But guess what? In order to have a medical card, you need to meet this criteria.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
right now, the states control the laws when it comes to cannabis. We're getting in a situation right now where the actual federal government are going to control what the rules are. And that's where we might have some problems. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I just always worry when the government gets control of something.
As we should, because it's
I'm just
historically it never works in our favor.
Holder, and I would tell any veterans that's watching this, share this with veterans. Like, I encourage you, like we talked about, there's 40 plus states. I sent Bob that link. It's got that chart across the country, so that way you can get a snapshot. If you live in a legal state where you can go as a veteran, $150. I'm up for this month to renew mine. They're going to pull your medical data from the from the VA, and then you're going to share that with a doctor. You're going to talk with somebody, and then they're going to qualify you to get your license. But then obviously, like what Bill said, you're going to be registered on the Department of Health, so everybody's going to know. And it's good for that state only, because I've traveled to Florida and they said, no, you're not a resident, although you got a card, but you can't buy. You have to be a resident.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So we don't know what the rules are going to be. I mean, look, I'm for open access for actually everybody for cannabis, but especially veterans and people with, anxiety, insomnia, just physical issues where we know cannabis is actually more healthier than the Vicodin and the Paxil and all the other shit they're giving you out there. But when you're fighting with these big corporations, unless they're getting a piece of that pie, those lobbyists are going to fight to make sure that we don't get what we want, because the money is in the prevention, not the cure. So basically the treatment, not the cure, basically. So they don't want you to die. They want you to be able to keep using their drug. So, and if you get better, you ain't using their drug anymore.
It's plans of appeals for me, baby. I encourage all veterans to seek medical cannabis in these 40 plus states that's legal as an alternative for mental health, pain management, all of the above. I thank this guy here next to me, Bob. He helped me, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago, get my medical card. And the good thing is, if you're in a medical state and maybe you should happen to get into some trouble and, you got to go check in once a month to provide a sample. If you're in a legal state, guess what? You won't pop positive.
Look, the TSA really hasn't been that crazy with cannabis.
Never.
Since 9/11, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They're more worried about fucking bombs and fucking lighters. I mean, unless you're trying to bring a pound in your fucking carry-on, you're an idiot. Number one,
go Florida.
They don't usually care. Most of the time, they're like, I'm just gonna throw this. They'll throw it out. Like,
hey, and if you do have a pound by chance and you got a medical card, well, at least you can say, hey,
right.
I got a medical card. But
so
I don't.
When I fly, I figure out where am I going. Like, if I go to Florida, I'm only gonna bring a pen. If I go to like Georgia, I go to Georgia a lot. I'm just going to bring a pen. Like, Georgia's still very, very archaic with cannabis. They have a medical program, but they really don't.
Qualified yet, are they?
They have a medical program, but you're not allowed to grow the cannabis in the state.
It's in the early stages. Okay.
And they've had it for like 5 years now, and it's all it is tinctures only. Like, it's archaic.
Yeah, and we know this about the religious states. That's exactly how it's going to go down, and that's the reason why those states, particularly Florida, Texas, Georgia,
Can't go to Vegas, devil's lettuce, smoking that devil's lettuce.
Yeah, when I go to Vegas, I bring as much as I want. California, I bring as much as nobody gives a shit. Like,
I was just telling Bob, I flew from Seattle to Las Vegas and how I've done it. Now I'm glad, Bob, that you put that out. The TSA says you can't travel. Just like what Bill says, just don't get caught with an ounce. But I traveled from Seattle to Las Vegas and I put it in my medical bag, in my check bag. And wouldn't you know, them airport little dudes went in there and got my stuff.
Did they take it?
They took it, and they took my damn cologne to it while they was at it.
Yeah, I know there's 2 or 3 people that's happened to.
Yeah, those are thieves. I put my pens.
Yeah, it was the first time it had ever happened to me, ever traveling. But that's normally how I would do it. But that's good to know that TSA is not going to be on your back. And especially you don't have to take your shoes off now. I was really happy about not having to take shoes off.
I've never had a problem with TSA at all. Like, I had pens in my carry-on, shit in my luggage. Nobody gives a shit. But then again, I'm not bringing an ounce of or a pound of cannabis. It's basically pens.
Full of it in your carry-on.
Right, exactly.
And shout out to
Pretty smart.
Instagram. We just got linked up on Instagram right now. I know we're late. It's almost the end of the show. Sorry to say that, but at the very least, you get to see our mugs, so we can say we were on Instagram. But yeah, man, it's crazy. I feel like at the beginning of this, all the red tape, it just wasn't there. The laws and stuff like that felt like red tape, but what's happening now is a big deal. I think I know Good Chemistry closed one of their stores down and then just reopened it recently after doing something different for a little bit. Some of the other stores that have been around for a while are surviving, but like you said, the mom and pop ones are just are not. And again, I haven't felt anything yet because of where I go, but I know it must suck to have the place that you go to all of a sudden just disappear on you, man. It's really shitty, man. And for everybody, people who work there and everybody who shop there, it's a shitty experience, and it's been happening.
There's only a few, Bob. There's only a few, and when I say mom and pops, I'm talking max 2 stores. That's a mom and pop to me.
Yeah.
So one of the original Black-owned cannabis companies here called Simply Pure. I think it was Simply Pure. They just went under. And there were just one store. There's not many of those left. There's Reefer Madness, who's one store. They have a huge following. There is Crystal Leaves is another really, really popular store here in Denver. And they have a huge following, so they're able to survive. They're not surviving on margin. They're surviving on volume. But once that volume goes away, they'll be in the same situation everybody else is.
Right, because you can only hide from that for so long.
Right. And there's just no more 1 or 2 store companies anymore. Green Dragon just got bought. They were part of PharmaCann. Live Well. Native Roots just got bought out. Granted, Native Roots just got bought out by the people who originally owned it. Schwaz, like Vireo Health. Look up Vireo Health. They're going to own over 100 dispensaries in 2 states in the next 6 months. And they got a lot of money behind them. So I mean
that's crazy. So based on what you just said, we've got the ability, especially if people care about it, we've got the ability to make some of these mom and pop stores stick around by just going and shopping at them.
Right.
But I don't know. It just right now societally, I just don't see that happening. It has
to
be a
but you know why?
Where your weed's going to disappear.
But you know why? The reason for that is cannabis. Well, first of all restaurants, cannabis, even alcohol, if people don't have money, they're not going to spend it. What's going on in our economy right now is really not helping what's going on in the alcohol industry, in the cannabis industry, and especially restaurants. Restaurants are closing left and right because people can't afford to go out anymore.
Yeah.
So if the economy gets better, we have a better chance. But when the economy is bad, we're overtaxed, I don't give a shit if I look, me personally, yes. But if I'm a person who's struggling and I know I can go either to my favorite dispensary and see my favorite bud tender, but I can save $10 to $15 by going someplace down the street, that's a lot of money for people. Even though the price of gas is $5 and they're driving, 2 miles and they're losing money that way, they're not thinking of it that way. So those people, unfortunately, are their hands are tied. They would love to support the mom and pops, but these big companies are going to be able to drop the prices and bring those people in. And unless the economy is fantastic and we have money in our pockets, we're screwed. Like those mom and pops are screwed.
So
that's a big ass deal, man.
Yeah. Do you think that, like what we're doing here now, like podcasts and social media, would that help like local dispensaries bottom lines at all, or not much at all?
If people pay attention to what's going on, but when you have
like maybe for a small market, like what you're talking about, maybe a dispensary that has a good following that's making it off of volume, if they were to incorporate, like you say, vertically integrated their own social media team, all their merch and all of that. Does that sound like
it could help? It still comes down to whether the people have money in their pockets to come and spend it. Like if they don't, they might go. Look, if I was broke and living on the fucking street and couldn't pay my rent, I'm going to Bobby and saying, I don't give a shit what you got in your shitty ass fucking closet. I need to smoke it. like that's how it is. When you have rent to pay and you have a car payment and it's so expensive to live. There's certain things that you need to take a back seat on, and cannabis is one of those. Even alcohol, it's like I need to find a way.
I can't wait. As a veteran, I can go in and get my prescription and not have to pay for it, because you're right, it is expensive, and that's why I did get my card, is because I can cut the taxes off of that, because it is expensive off the top.
Yeah. So there are some people that were like, no, I don't want to see Reefer Madness go under. I don't want to see these. I love those people. I'm always going to support them, but 80% of those people of the public are going to be like, I don't have any money. I'm going to go where it's cheaper. Like, and that's just what's going on right now.
That's facts.
Yeah.
And sometimes, most of the time, it's cheaper in the black market. I haven't, obviously haven't needed to go there. I'm actually surprised it exists. But again, when you are paying too much to go to a dispensary, and your buddy down the street's got some really sick sour diesel, you're going to pay that dude. Period. End of story. And if you've got a license, and if you're living in a rec state, you're not going to get busted for having that happen. Yeah. So, there's definitely issues there. California is definitely kind of shitting the bed on that one too.
They have. Well, first of all, California's shitting the bed on everything, so that's just part of it. But their
weed is expensive. I was down there a couple of years ago, and
Vegas. Vegas can get away with it. Vegas can get away with it because of the tourism, and the people pay extra money for that. But California, why would you ever walk into a dispensary when you know the guy down the street just went up to Humboldt County and got 2 pounds of the fucking best shit you ever saw in your life, and he's selling it to you for $20 an eighth? Like, why would you ever go into a dispensary?
So black market is still thriving, alive, and well.
Absolutely is, and it's thriving here just for that reason. It's just the lack of dispensaries. They're overtaxing, and the most important part of all this is that the growing has gone downhill. Like, all these great growers and cultivators, they're fucking gone. You know where they went? They went to Michigan. They're getting paid 6 figures in Michigan and Florida, where people actually care about the cannabis they're growing. All those people are gone. The grows are gone. So if you got anybody growing any kind of boutique type cannabis here, it's very rare. Maybe I can count it on my hand how many boutique grows we have. Green Dot, 710, maybe Blaze Boys. Like, there's only like 2 or 3 that are quality. Everything else is trash. It's just fucking trash because it's all remediated. It's gone through a microwave. The terps are gone. It's like, but to go back to what Bobby was saying is like,
going to go to a state where they're going to get paid more money. That's essentially what
that's what they're going. But like if I was just an edible guy or just like a pen guy, like I have to go to a dispensary because I would never trust going to my buddy who's got some underground pen. Like, don't ever do that.
Don't know what's in that pen. Don't know exactly what's in that pen.
Yes. Yeah. Even edibles, you don't know what it is. Like, so you go to dispensary for that. Granted, edibles aren't very expensive. So
meanwhile, you're on a fentanyl slump.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not worth it. It's not.
Oh wow! Well, Dan, we covered a lot there in that hour, man. Riles, I appreciate you showing up, Bill. It was really cool of you, dude. I knew you'd have a lot of the answers, if not all of them. And
I didn't know he was into golf like that too. That's good to know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what I used to do.
It was another life.
But now, 10 years later, I put 2 and 2 together. So okay.
Yeah, it was a lifetime ago.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
That's crazy, dude. It has been, but again, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. We're gonna try and do 11 episodes, man. Maybe we can have you on for another one. We're just trying. We're trying to make sure that we've got some industry pros in here, man. And you were the first one I thought of, man.
I appreciate it.
And look at Eric B. What's up with that, dude?
Golf Pro Kendall Lakes. That's right. I'm glad he said Kendall Lakes. Spelled it wrong.
Yes, most people do, dude.
It's better than Miccosukee. Which is the name.
Shout out to Eric B. That's Eric B. in Florida.
Yeah, well,
that's Eric B. He is. He's out in
Brooklyn. That's our boy.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, listen, we're going to get out of here, folks. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, who commented. We had a lot of folks out there in the comments section. I apologize that I didn't get to really directly talk to anybody. We just had such a great conversation going. I didn't want to ruin the flow, but it was great to see so many people engaging, if not even with us, with each other. So hopefully this podcast will pick up. We get to do it like what we did last year. We can get to a bunch of episodes that are really interesting. We want to cover a lot of stuff. So it was really important that you showed
Yeah,
up.
invite me
really
again.
appreciate it.
I'd love to bitch and moan and get frustrated. So
Yeah, I
me know.
wanted to go. I wanted to get to some deep shit with you, but I also, since you said you wanted to stay in the business, I decided not to ask you any specific questions. So I'm not gonna say, hey man, things happen for a reason, and maybe there's going to be a better position for you on the horizon. If not, you can still be a golf pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can't even swing the club. My shoulders, bro.
Oh shit, that's right. Oh damn.
Yeah.
Hey man, the 50s, baby. Well, listen, cannabis community, I appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to head out. Folks, have a great one. And as always,
thanks, guys.
keep growing.